Godzilla vs. Kong review. Okay, this is a non-spoiler review, so if you want spoilers, wait around for my second video. First of all, I want to say if you're a fan of Kong or a fan of Godzilla, you will be happy with this movie. This movie is very fast. You would think that they would take their time, right? But which is a good thing. I don't mind that it's fast because we already know about each character. We know enough about each character to continue the movie. The first thing I would like to say is that it does not waste time getting to the Titans. The Godzilla 2014 movie took, I think, like an hour to get to Godzilla, or an hour to even get to the action of Godzilla. King of Monsters it had a lot of monster action in it, but the thing was they would cut away still after people asked, hey, stop cutting away the human action, nobody cares about the human stuff. Please keep the monster action going. Kong Skull Island I felt like was a perfect balance between action and human stuff, even though the humans were horrible in Kong Skull Island as well. Godzilla vs. Kong. So, for people who are scared that one monster is going to be completely obliterated, I do not believe that one monster was completely obliterated overall. The action scenes were phenomenal because they did not stop the action. The thing is, when the action started, it did not stop until the fight was done. The first action scene between Kong and Godzilla didn't last as long as I thought it would. When Godzilla meets Kong on the boat in the trailer, didn't last as long as I thought it would. The fight ended pretty quickly. The second scene, where Kong and Godzilla fight when they meet in Hong Kong, is amazing. It is truly amazing. I actually was jumping out of my seat in that. It was dope. The third fight was amazing as well. It was very good. So the three fights that Kong and Godzilla have were very good. The first one was underwhelming in my opinion, but the second two were very good. The fourth climactic scene, when there's a big fight, I don't want to spoil what happens, even though most people know what happens at the end, was probably as good as the second two fights. Oh man, there's so much to go over in that scene, but I'm glad to save it for the spoilers. I was not expecting them to go as ham as they did in the very final scene of the movie. I was thinking that it was going to be like kind of like a small little scene and then everyone's sort of going to rejoice and be happy. But that final scene lasted so long and it was so dragged out in a good way. It just kept going. And this isn't a spoiler in my opinion, but they were saying that Godzilla was bigger than Kong in this movie, and in my opinion they looked the same size the whole time. Actually, believe it or not, there were some scenes where Kong looked bigger than Godzilla, which I was like, oh my god. They both show how good they are in each category. You can see how durable Godzilla is throughout this whole movie, and you can see how agile Kong is in this movie. It just goes out perfectly. Another thing about this movie is they had a lot of getting pummeled in this movie, if that makes any sense. Like, I'm not going to say which character, but I feel like one character in this movie does not get a break. I mean, they go from one fight to the next, to the next, to the next. Also, I feel like Godzilla in this movie was barely seen, and when he was seen, it was only to wreak havoc or, I don't know, fight. So, the human characters in the movie were okay. The Titan Podcast guy was very hilarious. I love the Titan Podcast guy. The one dude from True Blood, I forgot his name. He's Skarsgård guy. He was awesome in this movie. I really liked him. Believe it or not, the little girl was very good. Like a very professional actress in this movie. She was very good. She was not like kid actors. I know they always have to have a kid actor in each movie, but this one was kind of called for. She was awesome. Other than that, I think I give this movie a 9 out of 10. Let's get some snippets of what my friend had to say when we went to go see the movie.
Now, does this movie have any flaws whatsoever? Yes, of course it does. But the only flaw that I would say that actually bothered me would be a couple of the human characters. They didn't even bother me all that much because they were barely in the movie at all. But when they were on screen, they ranged from kind of funny to kind of annoying, which isn't usually a good thing, but like I said, they weren't on screen all that much and they weren't actually like that annoying, and some of the jokes they actually made were pretty decently funny. So overall, it doesn't even bother me that much, and that's the biggest complaint that I have about this movie. Now, speaking of the action from this movie, I think this movie does the action so well, and it's for one main reason. It's because the fight scenes are much longer. In the previous movies, the fight scenes weren't that long, and even if they were longer than usual, they always found a way to cut back to the humans. In this movie, when a fight scene starts, they rarely cut back to the humans. Maybe it's like one shot of them like observing the fight, but then that's it. It's honestly just straight, free-flowing action once a fight scene starts, and it's incredible. It's everything that we asked for. If you just want to see this movie for the action alone, you'll get your money's worth. Believe me, it was just awesome. All right, now the last thing that I'm gonna talk about is going to be the visual effects and CGI. In the previous movies, I think the CGI for most of them looks really good. I only remember from King of the Monsters that Ghidorah looked a little bit off in some places, like he looked kind of fake in terms of CGI, and it just ended up not looking that good. The CGI in this movie is phenomenal. It is on par with how good the CGI is in Kong Skull Island and even the first Godzilla, because I think the first Godzilla movie, even though I think it's the worst out of all four, I think it still has some incredible CGI. And this movie definitely did not disappoint, and I would actually say that this movie has the best CGI out of the four as well. It just looks beautiful, and I'm not even talking about just the monsters. Like, the cinematography, like all the shots that they chose for this movie just looked amazing, and it worked while these CGI monsters were just fighting each other, and I thought it was incredible how they were able to work through everything like that. My final verdict that I'm going to give Godzilla vs. Kong is going to be a 10 out of 10. I don't have any other complaints. This movie was just phenomenal.